It is estimated that 10% of children under 5 seen in emergency rooms for trauma have been injured by their own parents. Nurses in emergency rooms should be alerted to certain indicators of suspected abuse.
Well, other factors in the presentation of a child in an emergency room, particularly that would lead one to think that perhaps there were non-accidental factors involved in the injury being seen, are late-night arrivals, repeated arrivals without any real physical signs or symptoms, particularly those being described as by the parents, without those signs or symptoms being found. The arrival in an emergency room very far away from home, or even far away from home, without any explanation for why the distance, or with an explanation which doesn't suit the circumstances.
When a child is hospitalized and under the care and observation of health professionals for some duration of time, signs of suspected abuse often present themselves.
Well, among the signs and symptoms that we see among hospitalized children that lead us to suspect that perhaps abuse or neglect has been involved in their being hospitalized are, one, an extreme wariness on the part of the children, an unwillingness to go to their parents for consolation, or an inconsolability when they do go to their parents. The lack of an age-specific separation anxiety, so that the children are eager to go from one person to another at a time when they should be clinging to their parents. An apathetic presence, so that in some children you'll even see where you'll see situations in which you're trying to take blood and put a needle into the arm, and the arm is almost plastic, and the child unreactive. And this is one of the really powerful signs that abuse is not new to this child, and that this is just one more form of punishment which the child is accepting.
Nurses should also observe the parents' response to their child's activity. Often they will interpret their child's behavior as willful actions. While all parents are concerned about their child's illness, abusive parents often convey a complaint quality rather than a simple worry. Often the abusive parent is seeking help.
My mind is just being blasted with a lot of emotions and anger and physicalness, and when I'm like that, it's a type of hysteria, and I don't have any control. It just goes just like that.
In the observation of children, it is important to watch the interaction between the parent and child. Abusive parents may respond to their child as an inanimate object. While dressing a child, a mother may bang his head against the examining table without any awareness of such action. Sadly, the child may show no response to the trauma. Rather than repair the damage caused by abusive parents, nurses are very concerned with prevention. Nurses in prenatal clinics, hospitals, and private offices have multiple opportunities to assess and assist those who are at high risk.
In developing a profile for identifying high-risk parents, I think one of the major considerations is whether or not they are isolated from the mainstream of society, whether they have few friends or family connections that are very tenuous. Another major area to explore with people who you consider to be potential for high risk is what their childhood was like, because frequently these people are carrying out the cycle of child abuse and have themselves been victims of abuse and neglect.
When it's going on right in the midst of it, it's me that's getting hit, it's not them. It's me, and it's my mother usually is the person that I think of. It's her hitting me is what it is. And I just hit and I hit, and it seems like each time I swing that belt or whatever it is with my hand, usually it's the belt, each time I come down and I hit, I can feel it inside, the anger, and each time more it's harder until I just realize, hey, you're gonna kill this kid if you don't stop. And then I just stop, and then I say, just get out of here. My words are, get out of my sight. I don't even want you around me. And that's because I know that I'm going to do something really bad. And I realize when I'm doing it, but I just can't seem to stop myself.
I think it's crucial when we are making these assessments to avoid stereotyping, because it is absolutely clear that the potential for child abuse and neglect crosses all economic and social boundaries and crosses all boundaries of race and religion. What we're talking about here basically are constellations of characteristics that are general, and child abuse and neglect occurs in individual circumstances.
Pregnancy is a vulnerable time for the high-risk mother. Nurses at prenatal clinics and private practices can often identify early warning signals.
In attempting to assess whether a pregnant woman might be at high risk for abuse or neglect, the kinds of things that you take into consideration are, one, their own history, whether or not they have used drugs themselves, whether they use alcohol to excess, whether they are ambivalent about their own pregnancy as reflected by the failure to seek any kind of prenatal care until the third trimester, or by expressions of a desire to have abortion or adoption with a change at the last minute of these plans and a determination to keep the child.
It was a horrible pregnancy. I mostly lived on mood elevators and Valiums. When I was 4 months along, I made a real serious suicide attempt. My girlfriend found me and got me to the hospital. And at that point, they said, we'll do an abortion. But I just would not let go of my idea that somehow we were going to have our family back.
Intervention at this point can greatly improve the future parent-child relationship. The mother should be on a schedule of frequent visits to the obstetrician. If appointments are not kept, the nurse should call to check on the mother's reason for missing her exam. Many services are available to expectant mothers and fathers.